Hey y'all, Datisha here. So I know that we've all heard of the Proverbs 31 women, right? Right. So I have been listening to Proverbs 31 at least one night a week, okay? Maybe two, but at least one night a week. And with listening to it, it's like it just stirs up in my mind, in my spirit, and it just kind of allows me to just kind of sit with her characters, sit with her priorities, sit with her values, sit with, like how she lived her life. Because let's be honest, um, a lot of us are not holding ourselves accountable. We're not. We're just not holding ourselves accountable. And by that, I mean practically, we don't know how we're really spending our money because a lot of us, me included, tend to just go out and splurge and buy after we may have paid those tithes, we may have paid those bills, we may have done the things that we were supposed to do, and we may have even put some in savings, and we may have even started investing, pat on the back. But we also splurge. We also just buy things at the nick of the dime just because we can, or because it's a quick $5 or $20 or even $35 there, which tend to add up and take our money when we can really be spending that money on something else that would benefit us in the long run. The way that we spend our time, a lot of us doom scroll because we just want to get away for a minute, right? We watch, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, whatever your platform is. We take the time and we sit down and we get the popcorn, or we just flop down on the couch. Maybe as a mom, you're just tired and you're like, look, this is the only time I get to myself. Let me just escape in this movie, when there's something maybe in that movie, a lifestyle in that movie that you like. And instead of going towards the steps and things that's necessary for you to be able to actually live out some scenes that's in that movie, or not necessarily mimic, what we see on social media, but if there's someone that you've been watching and there's something that you see in that woman, in that man, of the highlight reels that they show on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, there's something there that you like. And if you just took the time to focus on yourself, or we took the time to focus on ourselves, we could be living it out. But our management is off. Our values, we really don't know and don't understand. And to be honest, some of us don't even know what we should really be focusing on in our everyday life. We don't really know what we should be prioritizing. Some of us may be married. Oh, that's cool. Okay, my kid's taken care of. My husband's taken care of. My house is cool. But what do I do with my time? What do I do with my finances? What do I do with this beautiful, magnificent genius of a brain that God has given us? What do I do with it? So I looked up some stuff, okay? I looked up areas of life, and these are it. I went on Copilot. It's through Microsoft. It's a AI thing, but I looked on there because I kind of look at it like Google. But I wanted to look up the areas of life, and this is what popped up. It says spiritual and faith, personal and self-care, home and environment, finances and wealth, career and work, time management and routine, relationships and social life, parenting and family care, education and knowledge, digital and technology management, hobbies and leisure, personal ethics and values, and future planning. Now, some people would say you can kind of categorize those a little differently. You can probably put some of those together, but looking into those made me really look into how, as a Proverbs 31 woman, as a woman of excellence, however you want to title it, how do I show up in that manner? What does that look like for Datisha? What does that look like for you? Because let's be honest, the life that our parents live may not be the same life. Because it's not. Because we're different people. We have different needs. We've chosen different careers, right? So I wrote it down in my little journal. I wrote it down in my little journal, and I made me a little task list so that I'm checking in, maybe I set up my self-care day. There's something that I choose to do every day to make sure I'm doing something for Datisha. And one of those, outside of my morning routine, is journaling. That's a self-care for me. So I'm not worrying or stressing out over things. I sit, I take time out to journal to the Lord. I take time out to just kind of sort through my thoughts, and with the intelligence, of maybe personal experiences or things that I've researched. What answers do I have, and what answers do I need to look up? Do I need to seek counsel? But with everything, of course, with prayer, right? But so spiritual and faith, of course, we should be waking up in the morning, spending time with the Lord, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And home and environment, if my house is not smelling or feeling or looking the way that I want it to look, why is that? What systems can I put in place? Do I need to be doing something every day instead of waiting till one day out the week to clean up everything? Probably so. Finances and wealth. How am I checking in with the vision for my finances, or the budget, whatever you want to call it? How, am I really setting myself up for success? As a matter of fact, am I leaving, some money, some, resources? Am I setting my child and or children up for success? My career and work, am I really, doing my due diligence, or am I just putting something in to build up another person's vision? And I want to be careful saying that, because we've been blessed to be able to help another person build their vision, and through those experiences, they've sharpened the skill sets that we have. There's a lot of videos that's on here, and I'm not knocking them, because they allow us to think outside of the norm of going to work at a job instead of stepping into entrepreneurship. But then it's like, but that job, helps us, like the military helped. Okay? Like, there was a lot of things that I learned at the home for cleanliness, organization, time, I've learned that in the home front. But skill set, managing people, managing relationships, I've learned a lot of that from the military. So those jobs, God pays attention to how we show up for other people. So let's not just knock that out. Like, that 9 to 5 can be a blessing for a lot of people. And that 5 to 9, that's when we work towards, some of us, if we haven't stepped into full-time entrepreneurship, that's what helps us, because we got to remember, the Lord may bless somebody to come on our team, and how we showed up for somebody else maybe showing up at our doorstop. You know what I mean? So, hey, but time management, like, what are you doing on a daily and a weekly and a monthly? Are you checking in with yourself? How do you keep tabs on your everyday systems? Like, how do you know, when you're falling off? How are you checking in with yourself? Parenting and family. Are you setting up, childcare? Do you need to go on a date with your husband, with your guy? Education. Are you, just remaining stagnant, or are you going towards getting that certification, that degree? Personal ethics, are you living out, with integrity? Or are you living out what somebody else's vision is? Are you bending to fit in somewhere? Future planning, what do you have on the books? What are you waiting to plan for? So I wrote a little checklist, y'all. And I'm going to do another one. I wrote a little checklist of the things, and I have the other list here of the little research that I did of the stuff that I was just talking about. Y'all, let's set up some systems to be successful. Let's make sure that we're keeping tabs on ourselves.